Danielle at Great Lakes Aquarium, and today we are up in the St. Louis River exhibit. Yesterday we talked a lot about the amazing properties of water, and we got to see cohesion and adhesion and surface tension and all those amazing properties. And today we're going to take all that amazing water information, and we're going to start looking at how fish interact in that water. So mostly looking at how they swim, since that's mostly what they do. But they have some pretty neat body structure that allows them to float, move quickly, and become really good predators. So today, we can show you, we have some friends that will be watching. So there are some northern pike in here and some muskies, some walleye, some sturgeon, some catfish, all sorts of fish that you could find in the St. Louis River, which is right outside our window here in Duluth, Minnesota. And all of them have something in common, and that is called a swim bladder. So the swim bladder helps the fish float. It affects its buoyancy. And we see this in all sorts of different ways, especially with scuba divers. So I have a setup here, a scuba kit. And when you're scuba diving, and if you imagine what scuba diving looks like, you see those divers go lower in the water and then also come up in the water. And they're able to do that due to buoyancy. So on a scuba diver, they have what's called a BC. So this device here, if I turn on my air tank and I hit this button, we can see that it filled up nice with air. This is gonna help the scuba diver rise. If I let go of all the air and push it all out, that scuba diver is going to sink. Now, we gain this information through biomimicry, which is taking something in nature that works really efficiently and then copying it in our own way. So scuba divers have basically a swim bladder on their back in a weird kind of sense. So over here, if we look at our fish friend, it's not real, it's plastic, just so you know. On this model fish here, we can see all sorts of really cool things going on inside. But what we're talking about is actually right here in the center. I can pull this out, and we have the swim bladder. I actually have an actual swim bladder, so this one's actually real, to give you an idea of what that looks like. And this is a sac that can hold onto air, just like your RBC, and allows the fish to rise and sink in the water column. Sometimes they need to sink really fast, so they have to get all of that air out so they can dive deep, whether they're going for prey or a new habitat. Sometimes they need to come up to the surface, maybe to get some food or even to start breathing in some air. Because to fill up this air sac, there are two different ways that it can happen. Many freshwater fish have what's called an open air sac, or an open swim bladder, which means they come up to the surface, take a gulp of air, and there's a connecting tube from their mouth straight to their swim bladder. So they can fill that up, and then they can just release the air when they need to. Other fish, often saltwater fish or deep water fish, have a closed sac. So instead of breathing in the air, they breathe with their gills, just like most fish do. And that air is actually pulled from the circulatory system. So they're pulling that air out of those really close capillaries, all near their swim bladder, and then they can exhale it back into the circulatory system. Pretty neat. So two different ways that this happens, but it's still important. What's even crazier is there are even some fish that don't even have swim bladders and still can maintain buoyancy. Sharks are a good example of this. They instead have livers that have nice fatty oils in it that help change their buoyancy. Or some sharks just use propulsion. Wow, that was a really hard word to say. Propulsion? Abby, how do you say that word?
I think you're looking for propulsion.
There we go, what Abby said. So that constant movement going forward. Other fish might not even have that fatty liver and use that forward movement the same way as well, such as the flaming hawkfish. That's a fish that we have here at Great Lakes Aquarium in our Truck Lagoon exhibit. And that fish actually swims really hard and then perches, hence the name hawkfish, perches in a coral and then can swim, and perch in another coral, and that's how it's moving around. So, that kind of brings us into the next big thing that these fish need in order to swim around in the water. So they have the swim bladder with the air, and then they have these nice, strong muscles. So they have muscles on both sides of their body, and they move in kind of a zigzag shape. So they have a nice, strong tail. They'll move that back and forth. They'll move that body, kind of like in a snake-like shape. Expanding and contracting those muscles, going back and forth. The more effort they put in, the faster they're gonna go. And we're probably gonna see that with our friends over here, the muskies, northern, and gar, as they go and get their food. So Laura from our husbandry staff is joining us today, and she's gonna be target feeding some of the animals, and then broadcast feeding the others. So target meaning it's going to a specific spot, broadcast meaning it's being spread out around. So we're gonna let Laura do her thing, and let's see how these animals move around. To help ID some of these fish that we see here, the ones with what kind of looks like spots, those are the northern pike, and the ones that look like they have stripes, those are the muskies. They seem to be taking an interest those over here. There they go. Those nice, strong muscles moving around. They're adjusting their buoyancy so they can go up and down to get that different food. You can also see their other fins working pretty hard. So they have that nice strong back fin that helps move them through the water. And then their other fins along their body help with the steering. You see they move those fins in different directions. Race for that one. To help steer where they're going. So they have the pectoral fin, which is close up by their head. They have their pelvic fin, which is a little bit further back from that pectoral fin. The anal fin, which is behind that. And then the dorsal fin is the one on top of the bodies. The other fish over on this side, so there's that young lake sturgeon. So they're eating a little bit different, but they're still using that swim bladder. They're still steering around with their fins, using those nice strong bodies to move around. One major difference though is where their mouth is. So their mouth is on the bottom of their body, and they're sucking up that food, kind of like little vacuums. We have a northern coming on over too. And the shape of the sturgeon is super helpful for being bottom feeders. So you can see that they're looking for all that bottom food. Quite different than the muskies and the northerns we saw. So when we talk about fish shape, we saw the sturgeon, which is that bottom feeding. We can see the muskies northern having that torpedo-shaped body. One fish you don't see in here is this shape. So we have the pan-shaped fish. So crappies are a good example. If there's any folks out there who like to go fishing here in Minnesota, you know a lot about crappies. So they have that pan shape, they're nice and flat. We don't have them in here because this is the perfect shape for prey fish. So if we come down here, we can see, like I mentioned, these are predators. So they have that sleek, strong body that helps them move very quickly through the water. Their eyes are in the front of their body, so they can zone in on a prey. And just like we talked before, they're going to use those strong muscles, swim fast, and shoot towards where their prey is going to be. Prey fish don't have their muscles so concentrated and so strong in one area. So these pan-shaped fish, they can move pretty fast. But against a strong predator like this, oftentimes they get eaten. They do have their eyes on the side though, which is a great way to keep an eye out for those different predators. In the animal kingdom, we often say eyes in front, born to hunt. Like us, we're predators, so we have our eyes in the front of our body. Eyes on side, born to hide. So these fish, having that flat shape, also helps them blend in nice with different vegetation or rocks or logs, all sorts of things. So that way, the predator fish, even though they're strong and they can move pretty well, sometimes they can't get into everything. So they can hide out and be those nice little safe ones that don't get eaten. So between swim bladders, all the muscles and the shape of their bodies, and then they're still looking at us. All these other really cool structures they have in their bodies, it really helps them be very productive moving through water. Now, they're under the water. We can think of other animals who are moving around. Ducks, which you might be able to hear in the background here, they actually are staying on top of the water. And they have air pockets, just like a swim bladder, in their feathers that help keep them afloat. Or like us, we can put floaties on, and that helps us stay afloat. So this is a great way that is tested true through all of nature to stay buoyant in the water, especially with working against things like surface tension and cohesion. We got to be able to move in it as well. Now, there are more than just ways of our bodies going in the water. There's boating and jet skiing, scuba diving, and floating on a floaty, soaking up some sun. In the comments below, feel free to put your favorite way to move through water. Or maybe it's even just swimming. We'd love to hear how you move around through this really amazing liquid that is so vital to life. And as the weekends are starting to get a little bit nicer and folks are getting out and going fishing and boating and everything like that, always remember to drain, dry, clean. There we go. Your boats to make sure that you're not spreading invasive species. That's super important. We don't want to bring invasive species into these body waters that ultimately could harm the habitats that these amazing animals live in. So clean, drain, dry your boats. Make sure you're being conscious of fishing bait. So make sure you throw it away in a trash can, not just dumping it into the lake or next to the lake or anything like that. We want to make sure that we're responsible stewards of the earth, and I hope you do get out and enjoy some water this weekend. I think it's supposed to be pretty nice, at least here in the Duluth area. So get on out, splash around, see how you move. And if you really, really, really love these muskies, just like we do, their names are Goose and Maverick. Today, on the Redbubble site, there is actually a drawing of the muskie, and it's so cool. It looks just like the ones here at Great Lakes Aquarium. You can get it as a sticker, as a coffee mug, as a t-shirt, anything like that. I put the link in the description with this video, so you can go online, get something like that. All the profits come back to the aquarium and help support us during the COVID-19 shutdown. And with that, all the other ways that folks have been supporting us, super great. We are so appreciative, even just watching this video. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a nice sunny weekend. There will be 2 more videos this week, but they'll be pre-recorded. I myself am going to get out and do some boating as well. Always remembering those clean, drain, dry, and being responsible on the waterways. So with that, have a good weekend. See you later.